Thanks, Ezra. Thanks, everybody. Can you hear me okay? All right. The future of commerce. Experiences all around. So why should you listen to me? Wait, because I can click a clicker, that's why. Can I click a clicker? Oh, shoot, I got to go back. Oh, shoot, where's my intro slide? There is no intro slide. All right, so we're going to start here. I'll do my little intro. Why should you listen to me? I work at Shopify Plus, so I have worked with thousands of merchants, sort of keeping close tabs on how people are building businesses faster than ever, more robust than ever, changing the game for everyone, from merchants to consumers, social networks, and how this thing is playing out on a grand scale. So that's why I'm passionate about this, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of details, anecdotes, stories. It's going to be very broad, not so much deep in terms of what's happening out there and what are some things that you can do to change the game for your business and kind of future-proof it. As if you were here for the previous talk, maybe a little bit of that fear of that Steve put in everyone there about the business continuing into the future. These are some of the things that you can start experimenting with to make sure that that happens for you, that you continue. So the theory is that the future of commerce is experiential, not transactional, and that those transactions follow the experiences. In fact, I'm basically just building on Steve's talk here. How many people were at that talk? Am I talking to a whole new crowd? A lot of people. Okay, great. He talked a lot about this. So it wasn't just because we live in the same town and we co-produced our talks at the same time. We didn't. He kind of stole my thunder. I was like, damn you, Steve, why so many of the things I'm talking about? But no, it's going to be different. But so the dictionary with experience says, an event or occurrence which leaves an impression on someone. And so what those experiences are going to be are not just online, it's going to be cross-channel, and you have to be nimble to compete and create those experiences. So to be nimble, you have to experiment. Right? The future of commerce is experiential, but it's also experimental. The dictionary here says we're trying to discover something unknown. We try to test a theory, test a hypothesis. That's why you're experimenting, in order to present and give those new experiences that people have not yet had, that are remarkable, that they can share, that they can build that relationship with you. Let's start with a question. Is retail dead? Well, if you look at graphs like this, hey, I have a pointer. It's not looking good for companies who have built their businesses around a certain model. And that model is one of distribution. The stores here that are closing are the ones that built up back before distribution was done the way it currently is, which is I buy it online and it's shipped from wherever the warehouse is. The distribution had to be done from the store where you bought it from. So the experience was pretty crap, but at least you knew the thing I want will be at that store, I can get it. It's that transactional experience, and the store is more a distribution model than anything else. So as the distribution models change, as the environment changes, those stores are feeling the effect of it, and they are dying. So the retail apocalypse is in large part due to a shift in distribution models. Things have changed, and that model no longer works. So is experiential retail what we need to be doing? A quick show of hands, who here has a brick and mortar location? Who's selling in person? Cool, all right. Some people who are doing in-person sales. Let's take a look at some people who are doing it really, really well. Nike, you try some shoes, get warmed up, go for a run with the community run. That transaction, if you buy those shoes, it's all part of one thing. You're not going there just to buy the shoes. There's a community there. There's an environment there that's supporting your passion for running. This is a fun one. I have all kinds of stories about this. Anyone know the product here? You can kind of see it on the bike. Peloton. It's the Peloton bike. Any owners of the Peloton bike? Yeah, a couple Peloton fans. So my wife was down in Dallas, and she came into the Peloton store, and they said, hey, welcome to the store. Would you like to take a ride? Here's a towel. Here's a bottle of water. We'll hook you up with a class that's going on right now in New York City. So she took them up on it, and she went for a ride, had a fantastic experience, and has been lobbying me ever since to get one of those bikes. We have not yet gotten one, but we are subscribers to their recurring revenue model app. So We have 2 little kids, like my intro said, and so being able to just turn on the app and crush a 10-minute workout in our living room is more effective for us right now than going to the gym. So Peloton is getting our money, not just for their bike, but they started with that experience. You're going to try out your Sonos speakers. You got this sweet little pod. If you want to test out one of these canoes at the Globetrotters Cologne flagship store, you can actually paddle it around their own pond. Doesn't compare to Steve's trek into the wilderness, but you can at least get a sense of if it will handle the water. Who knows what this is? Is it Boston? Bodega. Yeah, it's bodega. So on the outside, it's a bodega, but on the inside, it's a streetwear, very fancy store. And right, it's that notable, hey, no one knows about this. It's not even advertised. You have to be on the inside, right? You see the smiles when people are like, I know what that is. That's bodega, right? That's, even if the store itself is just like nicely done, the entire experience is what's remarkable. We have something that needs to be clicked. We're going to click it. A lot of bass. This is an Apple store in London. I just happened to be walking past. And it's going to stop soon. There we go. But I was just walking past the Apple store, and these guys were just going to town up on the balcony. This gospel choir singing and dancing, creating quite the attractive environment to just go in there and be happy and test out some products and just be in that environment, right? Apple's a creative brand. They're all about self-expression, and so it makes a lot of sense to create that experience of, oh, we're at the Allbirds, that's okay. Create that experience of live music, in person, just high energy, creativity. What stands out to you from this shoe store here? What does that look like? It's a bar. It's a shoe store, but it's a bar. Like you'd walk in and they'd go, Norm. It's my Boston joke. So yeah, this is Allbirds. And what they did was, in their early days, they carved out 400 square feet on the ground floor of their headquarters to talk to customers every single day. Put shoes on, see how they liked them, see how they responded, learn from their customers every day. So their retail operations were influencing product direction, that customer focus, more so than like, hey, we need dollars per square foot. It was not a dollars per square foot play. It was a, let's learn from our customers, let's develop the best product possible, learn who they are, what they're like, build our marketing around that, build our experiences around that. And the reason I know about this store is because one of the folks on my team, when I said, what are your favorite experiences in commerce out there? She sent me 20 paragraphs about Allbirds, and including this shot here. Like, she took a picture of the shoebox when her bartender gave her the shoes, and apparently they're patenting this boxing experience. Right? So they've invested deeply in what happens when someone comes to our store. How is it different? How is it amazing? And she passed that along to me. If you're a golfer, no doubt you've come across a demo day. You could just go into a big box store and swing some clubs, but what they do is they bring the clubs to you. They come out to a tournament that's happening and put the clubs in people's hands. An interesting thing that I learned here, my cousin is a golf pro and gets paid big money to fly around to demo days and have GPS Doppler trackers on the balls and all kinds of fancy stuff, is you actually don't have to bring that much inventory to it because it's modular, and so you can kind of test out the entire line of products just with a handful of tweaks for the person doing the demo. So that's kind of innovation on the product side in order to bring this experience right to where people are. Another story from my wife's trip to Dallas. She went to Fabletics, which is an athleisure store. Got a bunch of things that she liked. Walked towards the fitting room, and they scanned all the items that she was bringing in. So then when she's in there, what appears on the iPad but all of the things that she brought in? And what she used that for was, this black is okay, but let me see what it looks like in white. You click the button, the person comes over, brings you the white one instead, preventing you from having to run around the store in your underwear or say, hey, do you have this one in white? I don't like the black. So right? That's that in-store experience, kind of catering to what does this person need. And she bought more stuff from there than she, there's a joke there somewhere. I don't know, but she bought a lot of stuff. So use those experiences, not just to make money, not just to maximize dollars per square feet, but to build those relationships and to learn about your customers. Now let's switch the model, because there's more of us here who are in the digital space than in the physical space. And let's talk about the retail experiences within the digital environment. So my question for you right now is, what is the best part about shopping in person? What do you love about that? Touching things. That's a good one. What else?
Yeah, I think to feel something, like luxuries and how it feels, not so much how it looks. It makes something look right, but feel right is hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. How it feels. Basically where the product is the star, interactions with the product. So the big challenge that I put out to all of us as merchants is, how do we do that? How do we make that magic? How do we bring the product as close to the person as possible when in the end, you just have pixels? Right? That's quite a challenge there. Anyone know what is happening here? Yeah. ARKit. ARKit 2 on the iOS 12. Launching in 4 days. Yeah, so when iOS 12 comes out, it's going to be quite a game changer. It's going to include ARKit 2, which has support for USDZ files, meaning if you have your products in that file format, you can do that on Shopify. Probably on other platforms as well, but it's native within Safari, and it brings AR into your store, which is crazy. To give you a sense of how fast commerce moves, I mean, we all know this, but I gave this talk, a version of this in London about 2 months ago. And when I did it, it was about a store that had built a special app to have this experience available for their customers. Like, spent thousands and thousands of dollars on an AR app that would allow this experience. Now it's just Safari, right? It's just your web store. 2 months later. And we're working with a bunch of developers and a lot of opportunity for how do we bring this to life? And it's really just the first step of it. Who watched the Apple unveiling the other day, the big product announcement just yesterday? Yeah, I was in the airport. My flight was delayed, so I was tuned into that instead of flying. So that was serendipitous, I guess. But like the phone, the screen goes all the way to the edge. It's 6.5 inches side to side, and it's all in your hand. Like this idea that mobile is somehow a lesser channel or not super immersive or like kind of constrained, it's going away, right? If we're thinking about the future of commerce, kind of make your vision fuzzy and project yourself into the future a little bit to where like devices stop getting in the way of things. Like that's the direction that things are happening. So AR, VR is just one step, like one small step towards devices going away. I think this is pretty cool stuff. Tim Cook thought so too. He stopped by the offices back in January, showed us some love on the Twitters, and also had a quote in the Canadian paper. He said, "I'm a big fan of Shopify. I love the fact that their focus is on democratizing technology for entrepreneurs that are largely artisans and bringing their products to market so that these merchants can focus on what they are great at." All right, so future of commerce as well is letting other people do the lifting, right? Let other people do the tech so that you can focus on what you're great at. These are some of the things that we're working on, AR, VR, to put that power into your hands so you can focus on growing your business. This is one I love, Belova. So when you go into a jewelry store, I bought this ring at Long's Jewelers, a little plug for Long's down the way here in Boston. That jewelry store, like you know you're being manipulated, right? You go into the jewelry store and it's so beautiful and all the lights and the sparkles and the plush velvet stuff. You're like, oh my God, this is so special. Like, how do you do that online? How do you do that in a web browser, right? The environment is this big. How do you do that same thing? So Belova launched their site not long ago. Also of note, they're going direct to consumer, right? An iconic brand, cutting out the middle person and just selling straight to their end buyer. But what they've done is they've invested in their web design here on their site. You can check it out if you want, where when you look at the watch, when you look at the collection, the way they've done the design, it has that jewelry store magic to it. Right? They've done that kind of magic in the pixels. So I encourage you to, if that aspect of it is relevant to your business, to invest in that as well. When you're in the store and there's a person there, they get to know you. Or they can at least see who you are. Are you a man, woman, young, old? What are you looking at? What are you interested in? And they can make recommendations. They can personalize your experience. So are you doing that on your website? We launched a product different than Klaviyo flows. This is Shopify Flow, allowing you to segment your database based on things they've purchased, other attributes, lifetime value, basically any tags that you want to put on that customer, and then provide a different experience to them from those tags with your website, right? So Flow does the segmentation, a little bit of web development, gets you to that customized experience based on who that person is, right? Because that's the in-store experience, like, hey, you know who I am. Here I am, and you know. Also, a little shout out to Klaviyo. They're integrated with Flow. They're one of our first partners that we did this with. And so that segmentation, personalization, just letting that person know that you care, even though it's just a website. Right? This is how do we bring that magic of retail into pixels. The Sports Sack leveraged this to great effect. Came onto Shopify, launched with a personalization engine Nosto, and increased their sales by 12%. And just recently, I was sitting across the table from the Rebecca Minkoff, director of e-commerce, and I said, what's different about your life now that you're on Shopify coming off of Magento? And she said, it's the ability to test, the ability to just do things and see if they work. The App Store, the app ecosystem, I can put something on my store and see if it works. Like I don't have to wait 6 months and have a developer make sure everything works with everything else and doesn't break my entire stack and then, oh God, please, 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 test it, it works, or test it, doesn't work, move on. So speed to execution. Right, so I say experiences and experimentation are part of the future of commerce. So being able to do this kind of thing quickly and at low risk is what we're looking at. How cool is that? Love it. Outer Known. They're selling jeans. But they're also telling their story. Right, so when you go into a retail environment, what do you get? You get the story. There's opportunity on all 4 walls, and whatever else you put in there, you can tell the story everywhere. You go into a Tom's Shoes, which is in Venice, California. They only have a flagship store there. They have other stores, but yeah, they're great at telling their story. Who are some of the other in-person folks? Whole Foods tells a great story inside their stores. So that's part of that in-store experience, is feeling like, who is this brand? What do they stand for? How are they changing the world? Not just what is their good stuff. So Outer Known has a strong story to tell. And the challenge with being online is there's only one page at a time. You can do fancy footwork and modals and split screens, but ultimately you want people to focus on one thing at a time. So how do you tell your story in a world where you want people to focus on one thing at a time? What they do here is you hover over new, you hover over clothing, you hover over sustainability, and you have this giant menu pop over with little chunks, like big visual representations of each part of their story, telling the sustainability tale that they stand for. It's a beautiful design. They've worked very hard with their agency out in LA to build this. And the fact is, Steve mentioned this in his talk about experiences and consumers wanting people to stand for something. It impacts sales. Sprout Social study said that 2/3 of consumers, 66%, say that it's important for brands to take a public stand on social and political issues, and they will spend more on a product that comes from a sustainable brand. Has to be relevant. You can't just take up arms on whatever. Like if it affects your product, if it affects your customers, if it affects your employees, where you're from, those are all great things to advocate for, but it impacts the brand and impacts the people that are buyers. I already said a word about mobile earlier with the Apple thing. I got excited and got a little carried away. But one of the best things about retail is if you like something, you can just buy it. You're there and you're like, okay, I'm going to walk out with this. People are always looking at things these days, right? We're scrolling, the thumb's getting tired, and we're just checking things out. But is your mobile experience enabling them to buy? These are numbers just released for Q2 in terms of mobile traffic to all Shopify stores, 600,000 stores, 76% of traffic and 66% of orders are from mobile. And so how strong is your mobile experience? Are you giving that experience to buyers? And here's a tale from Movement Watches, recently acquired by Movado, and they built their empire, $100 million business, with no venture capital, basically on Facebook and Instagram focus in terms of marketing channels. Right? They were early on that wave. Their product does quite well in those channels. But that was the wave that they rode, and to tremendous success. Like they got, I don't know if I can get the stats right, but they built their company to a revenue that their parent company took like 80 years to get to. They did it in 5. And so that's what's happening online right now. That's the revolution that is being allowed by these new types of models that I'm talking about. So let's cross over. We talked about retail experiences, and then we talked about bringing those experiences into the digital world. How do we blend them? How do we create these omni-channel experiences? And then they're going to have a word about payments, because that's part of what's changing in the future. Start with omni-channel. This was an article May 15th in the Telegraph. Sir Philip Green's retail empire includes Topshop, various other big brands, particularly in the UK. Year over year, 42% drop in profits. That was on May 15th. May 16th, we have an article published in LinkedIn by Rachel, who's a general manager of an e-commerce parent company. They have several brands. And this got some love. 1,600 likes, 132 comments, 245 shares. And I'll just go ahead and read it to you, because it's really cool. So Rachel's daughter, Eleanor, recently turned 15. It's the story of her daughter's shopping experience and why it explains why Sir Philip Green's empire has tanked. She was searching for outfits to wear for her big day, her 15th birthday, and this was the timeline of what Rachel witnessed within the space of about 2 weeks. Day 1, Eleanor searched for looks on Instagram via her iPhone, which is the new high street window shopping. Day 2, Eleanor used Instagram to sign up for Misguided, Pretty Little Things, Boohoo, and Fashion Nova, which is a Shopify merchant. Day 3, Eleanor placed her order with Fashion Nova via Instagram using PayPal checkout with a 20% coupon and a further 25% coupon that Fashion Nova gave as it was her birthday. Skip to day 7, delivered for Fashion Nova 5 days from the US. That's fast. With, yes, you guessed it, another 25% coupon on her next order and free shipping if she placed within 30 days. Day 12, Eleanor posted her pictures of her birthday on Instagram and tagged Fashion Nova. Day 14, Fashion Nova sends Eleanor a message offering discounted clothes for 12 months if she posts on her channel. Day 16, Eleanor is now a Fashion Nova product used to resell their items in exchange for discounted clothes. A fair deal to a naive 15-year-old. To Eleanor, Fashion Nova is the best retailer on the planet, and here's why. Easy to access, quick to sign up through her social page, discounted fashion house, fast delivery, and now always-on discounts. A great example of how today's fashion houses make real use of social platforms, not only to gain young consumers, but move quickly to keep them. This is the new loyalty card. So Steve earlier talked about how you don't want to rely on discounts for your loyalty, but if you pay attention, it wasn't just the discounts. It was the encouragement to post on social, like being part of that in crowd. They use influencers and high-profile folks to promote their brand, so you're doing the same thing. You're part of that crowd. We're going to reward you. You're part of our community, so there's the exclusivity of it as well. I want to talk a little bit about logistics, right? Because in that story was the online-offline dance, right? Post it to your social channel. Now you get better stuff, free shipping, that kind of thing. That really moves the needle. Would you be more likely to shop online? 79% free shipping would encourage you to buy. Free returns or exchanges, 54% would encourage you to buy. Some heavy-duty stats there. Logistics as a differentiator. And so consider that. It was Walker Sands research there, which is what encouraged us to recently acquire Return Magic, right? Because 80% of shoppers expect free returns, but only, dun dun dun, 25% of merchants offer them. That's a lot of room. Oh, shoot, no. Okay, what percentage of shoppers read the return policy before they buy? Dang it. Much higher than most of you would have thought had I not shown you the number beforehand. Yes, 83%. That blew my mind when it was done correctly the first time. Yeah, didn't think so. But it's a big deal. And it's not just a money suck on your business. These are your loyal customers, right? They might buy 2 different sizes, return one of them. Are you giving them a great experience for that return? Are you taking care of them every step of the way? This is the Zozo suit, which is amazing. I was informed of this by another member of my team who, when he heard that I was giving this talk, he said, "Have you heard of the Zozo suit?" And I was like, "No." And so he talked me through it. Basically, you get the suit, and it has every inch of your bodily form in numeric detail. And then they make custom clothing based on every inch of your bodily form. So you get like the perfect clothes from this suit that they supply you with. So that's cool for them. Yay, Zozo suit. But kind of fast forward and you realize, okay, maybe this is an AR sizing platform. Right? Maybe they move away from like selling their clothes to actually providing a service to all merchants who can suddenly know what will actually fit you. Because I don't know if you can tell from me, but like it's hard to find stuff that really fits. I don't know if you're the same, but like really well fitting, come on. So that's revolutionary. Kind of crosses over digital and physical. This one is a lot of fun. So we created a tool called Frenzy, and this is a Frenzy drop zone, Montreal, I think. So what happens is it's an app, and you can purchase the product that is about to drop on the app. But in some cases, this being one of them, you have to be in a certain location. So it's like geofencing, like, oh, geofencing. But like it creates an experience for everyone in that geofence. Like you cannot get that product unless you're in that space. So that's true if you have a store, but this is an app, and suddenly your store is that park, right? So it's not just a pop-up, it's you know, that crossover of digital and physical. So we're crossing over. Let's talk about support. Customer service, customer delight. I own a Whirlpool appliance, and it's a washer dryer, and it just broke. It started leaking everywhere. We had no idea what was going on. We brought a repairman out. He said, "This is the product that you need to fix it, and I can fix it for you for another $200." I'm like, that thing's only worth like $400, man. I'll just order it online. I'll fix it myself. This isn't that hard. So I get the thing. It took like a week and a half to get to my house. So, and then I do it. Like I get out the screwdriver and I just, it's in there. Meanwhile, time's ticking. I got 2 little kids. Laundry is just, it's insane. It's everywhere. Like how is so much laundry created? And it doesn't work. I replaced the door and it still leaks. And so I'm sitting there in my bedroom. My wife and I are talking. We're like, what the hell are we going to do? We just spent like, $150 on this. To actually get it fixed will cost as much as a new freaking thing. Should we just get a new freaking thing? We're like tearing our hair out. What do we do? So I tweet. I say, disappointed that my newish Whirlpool washer is apparently dead for no apparent reason. Worst part is there's nothing I can do but get a new one. #wasteful. CC at Whirlpool Care. Well, wouldn't you know it, they replied to me the next morning, June 5th. I tweeted that June 4th at 10 p.m. They replied the next morning. And then I DM them. They say, we're going to send someone over, and we're going to fix it on our dime. You called a Whirlpool certified tech, didn't get the right solution, we're going to fix it. And then I tweeted again. It was fixed. I went from unhappy to thrilled with my home appliance situation, and faster than I thought possible. Thanks for the incredible customer service at Whirlpool Care. #grateful. And I bring this up not to just say, hey, tweets can get things done, but to point out, like, I was so lazy, I didn't even look for an 800 number. I didn't even think, like, maybe I could call them and like have a conversation with someone. I just got aggressive and like posted it out to the world. But they were there, right? They responded and they said, okay, we will take care of this. And they absolutely did. So this actually pales in comparison to the Instacart shipped stories that people were telling in Steve's session. But I live in Canada now, and we don't have that cool stuff up there. So we rely on click and collect. But click and collect is still cool. And so here's my story. With click and collect, I actually changed the grocery store that I go to all the time because they offer this logistical mechanism, right? You put your order together, you say, this is what I want. You go there with your 2 kids because it's terrible trying to bring them into the grocery store and they're asking for everything and pulling it off the shelves, and you have to do a whole discipline thing just to get your groceries. But instead, you show up and you get your little hula shark there and you pick up your groceries. So again, logistics as a differentiator. All right, now let's talk about payments. Who here uses Uber? Everybody. Would you ever, like, do you prefer getting out your credit card and paying for a cab? Like, is that a better experience? No, that provides no value. Like giving someone your money and getting the change back and putting it back in your wallet, like that's no value to the consumer. So payments are a differentiator. If you can remove the friction, then you are providing value. This is Shopify Pay. You put your email in. You put your email out. You enter your email, and then you get a code, and then all your stuff is saved, including your shipping or your payment method, and you hit buy. Right? So, and that works across all 600,000 stores. So that's part of our commitment to kill checkout. Right? People come to us, they're like, I want to make checkout faster. I want a one-page checkout. You're like, how about we just kill checkout? Because that doesn't, like when you're sitting there trying to fill out 20 forms on your mobile phone, like 20 fields, that provides no value. You try to kill that. This is an interesting one here too, dynamic checkout. So if you have Apple Pay, Android Pay, Google Pay set up on your phone, and you end up on a product page that has dynamic checkout enabled, that button will appear, and you can hit it, enter your thumb, and you're done. You don't have to add to cart, go to checkout, fill out the form, dun, dun, dun. Click, thumb, done. I was in London. There was a street vendor, Egyptian street food, they called it, and it looked delicious. And they had this sauce that they said, eaten by the pharaohs. Like, ooh, I wonder what the pharaohs ate. That'd be cool. And so I bought this like ancient recipe. I paid for it with my Apple Watch. You double click it, and you got the near field thing, and off you go. Right? That convenience, it's just something I don't know why I love it. It like dings your wrist. Like it's just payments and the way people transact. It's going to change. It is changing. How can you meet those delightful experiences, even in that transactional moment? And speaking of global, speaking of international, as you expand, payment types and payment standards are going to be different around the world. So we're launching Shopify payments in Germany, and so figuring out Sofort was part of that, because when Germans transact, they just authenticate with their bank account and they use Sofort. Like that's a lot more popular than credit cards. Same with Klarna in the Nordics, Boleto in South America. We haven't done Boleto yet, but Klarna and Sofort we have. So yeah, payments as part of how things change, what people expect, providing those experiences. So one last thing, and then we'll have some time for questions. Who here has a connected home device? Who here uses it all the time? Yep. Who here thinks that it kind of sucks? Right? We use it, and yet it's terrible. Like Alexa can't do most of the things that I like. I'm into classical music, and so I say, Alexa, play the Brahms Violin Concerto. And Alexa goes, yo, man, try that one again. I'm like, no, it's just a Brahms, come on, it's just a simple. And it's just like, not going to find that one here. Thanks, Alexa. So like half my queries come back with, yeah, no, I can't do that. We say, what does an owl sound like? I have 2 little kids. Alexa, what does an owl sound like? This is perfect, hoo, hoo, hoo. And you say, oh, what does a crocodile sound like? It's like, I don't know all the animals. I just know the owl. Come on, don't ask me about crocodiles. So like the miss rate is enormous on this thing. But if you think about the last piece of technology you used all the time that simultaneously sucked, like the iPhone 3 comes to mind. That thing was terrible. And now here we are, and it's the #1 smartphone, and not the 3, but as it evolves and as it develops, that becomes how people do things. That becomes the expected norm. So the Walker Sands research that I was mentioning earlier spends a lot of time on the connected home, on the Alexa and those sorts of things. And the thing that really struck me the most was how transactions are no longer something we plan to do and like go to the place where we transact. Transactions happen while we're digging through the fridge, right? It's an ongoing, it's while we're driving to work. It's while we're looking at our calendar. There's so many options for connection, and I encourage you to put your mind towards this one in particular because it's only going to grow, right? The connected home, these devices in our lives are only going to increase. And so then how can you be part of somebody's life when their life is just ongoing, not when they're on your site looking for a thing, but as part of their day-to-day? Steve was mentioning the building those experiences, building that loyalty. This is another avenue to enter somebody's life and build loyalty. So this is my takeaway. Future of commerce more diverse than ever. We talked about experimentation, talked about experiences. And that's basically how you stay in the game for when that next big wave arrives. We talked about movement, building their empire through early days of Facebook, Instagram, marketing, advertising, and just being at the front of that before it cost everybody else, 200% of what it cost them. And in terms of prognostication, this is my favorite quote. Just look around. See what's happening that's going to gain more traction, and that's where things are headed. That's not me. I wish it were.
Thank you, Steve. We have some time for questions. We have a mic. Should have a mic in the back also, but right back there.
Hi, Steve. The example on the payments where you were talking about Shopify Pay, has Shopify ever thought about running ads for Shopify itself to let customers know that this is a trusted platform and that you can do the Shopify Pay? Given the amount of stores in here, I think it would be great if Shopify actually made itself known to the normal consumer, so that people would be willing to sign up for Shopify Pay, and then all of a sudden our transactions become all these stores, right? Versus right now, like putting a Shopify badge up, being like, hey, trusted or run on Shopify, like no one knows what Shopify is.
Yeah. So the question was, have we ever made ourselves more known to build trust with end buyers, which would in turn help the merchants? And the answer is currently not yet. Our philosophy is very much, we are Mario's fire flower, giving you, the fireball powers. And we're interested in you with the fireball, not so much in how great the fire flower is. But given the value add that could be offered, given payment methods, that sort of thing, I could see that changing over time. But currently, that's not something we're actively working on.
Okay.
The different payment methods geared toward international customers, is that something you guys have launched yet? And is it just on Shopify Plus? I'm asking because my Shopify Plus person emailed me a little while ago and said, we're doing this huge international payments thing. It's really going to help. But I don't know what she's talking about.
Fair enough. So it's coming. A couple of things, multi-currency, offering a single store in multiple currencies, so for Germany, when you're using Shopify payments, things like that are in the pipeline, if not kind of launched to a small beta right now. Does that help? It's a little vague. I can't give dates of when your store is going to be live with it, but yeah. Yes.
How you doing? Great talk.
Thank you.
What do you think the future of the mom and pop shop is? The local hardware store that I really don't want to go to and buy anything. I just want to order it, but I want it today, so I have to go.
Right.
You know, what are those guys going to do?
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, they're not going to put a river in their store like the canoe place.
Right?
You know?
Well, I think that, you know, it comes to other things, right? One of the points I wanted to make is that logistical expectations are being set by the biggest players, right? Amazon's like, you're going to get it tomorrow. And so if you can't ship it tomorrow, how are you going to differentiate from that? And so it's, to Steve's point, I just keep piggybacking on all your good content there. Like, you have to come up with, what is that differentiator? Is it training your people to be really friendly and really knowledgeable with the customers who come in? Is it focusing on a specific niche that's more related to your demographic or to a specific expert group? Like, it's going to require making something remarkable, because the model of like, here it is no longer enough. Does that make that helpful? Yeah. It ain't easy, but like that's what needs to happen.
Hi.
Hi.
So my question is, I guess, more tactical. So I get emails and calls from Shopify Plus all the time. All the time. Literally.
Okay.
And like every day. And they haven't really explained to me, at least well enough for me to understand, what does Shopify Plus do or can do for me? How is it going to convert more sales or what have you versus what the highest Shopify level that I'm already on?
I mean, that's going to be an individual conversation to your business and what sort of things you'd find valuable and what you're focusing on. So.
My question is, like, what does it offer that the other sites, the other levels don't offer?
I got two sales reps back there. There's Hamza and Kyle. You can talk to either of them. They're super knowledgeable.
Hey, how you doing? I'm one of those jewelry store owners you were joking about earlier.
Nice. It wasn't a joke, man. It's real.
No,
you do
just-
real. You know.
I'm just kidding. No, we're in a nifty spot. We're losing 1,000 stores a year. I know for us, the point of sale that we use, I don't really have any way to get my historical data and customer data out of that, and the Shopify point of sale isn't really robust enough to handle what we need. So in light of all this omni-channel, can we expect more advances in this? I'd love to try to be able to bring more of that together with our physical store and our online store.
Yeah. So I'm a solutions engineer. I love geeking out about, you know, how we're gonna put your whole thing together, and we could totally have that conversation. It's going to be a matter of, where's your centralized data going to live, and how is your frontline staff going to access that data? So it's a data challenge, which is like the big challenge of our day for exactly this reason, right? All the data's out there. How do we use it? How do we get it to the right people to create those experiences? So short answer is we are investing in retail and building that up to be a more robust solution for more complex merchants like yourself. But until what we have meets your exact needs, there's going to be a data solution that needs to live on top of all of it.
Quick question right here.
Okay.
About the Shopify Pay, on my Shopify account, is there a report that tells me how many of my customers use Shopify Pay? I was looking at the payments, and I can't figure out where, so I can't check to see if that's actually converting better or not.
Yeah, no,
There definitely is.
yeah. Tells you like what they do, Apple Pay or.
It's in the financials.
And this will be
Thank
our
goodness.
unfortunately, our last question. But
Oh, yeah? Nice.
On the alternate methods of checkout, like Apple Pay, all the mobile methods, what is that feature you have to have turned on, or does it have to be enabled in your theme
Yes,
for
so
mobile?
it's a theme modification, and it's dynamic checkout. It rolled out just a couple months ago.
Okay.
And it's just a liquid modification that basically says check to see if they have Apple Pay, or, you know, what the payment method's enabled. If so, put the button here.
Okay.